Hey, this is Christian, and you are tuned into episode 2 of the Ape Audio Podcast. Today we are speaking with Sam Hillifer of SUNDIVER and the now defunct Die Atlantic. I hope you enjoy the show.
Yeah, we kind of want to start it off. We'll go, so last week we basically went through our musical histories and divulged some incredibly embarrassing information about our musical past, and then into things that we are maybe a little more proud of. And we kind of want to do the same with you, a little crash course. It doesn't have to be super in depth, but if you want to start us off with a cringy musical memory, something like that.
The beginnings. So I was really lucky with music, not because no one in my family was a musician necessarily, but my family always had decent taste in music, even though it wasn't like their main passion. So I was introduced to things really early, like Hall & Oates and like the Pet Shop Boys and The Cure and some kind of like sick music. But the first music that I like actively sought was this weird mix of like boy bands and Cher.
How old were you when you were hunting down this kind of music? Yeah, that is a super weird mix, but what age were you?
Yeah, so like Cher was like when Do You Believe came out.
Okay.
So I was like,
did you see she's on tour again? Are you interested in?
No. I that honestly, it was a very short-lived. Like,
okay.
You know, like how old was I? Like not even grade 1.
Okay.
You know, like I just liked Cher. And I hated Rod Stewart.
Oh,
I think that's important to mention that I actually had an artist I disliked.
What did you hate about Rod Stewart?
I thought he was whiny.
I'm not going to argue that.
Yeah.
I actually have a signed Rod Stewart record.
That's amazing.
And it was basically forced upon me. So my uncle flies private jets, and Rod Stewart was one of his passengers. And my mom was a big Rod Stewart fan, so she asked for some piece of memorabilia from him.
Yeah.
So he signed a record for her, and I inherited all my parents' CDs as CD players became kind of defunct or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just there.
That's awesome.
two sides of the coin.
Yeah.
Right here.
Yeah. So yeah, I dug Cher and I hated Rod Stewart.
Fair.
And I loved like Fred Penner.
Okay. Oh, cool. Well, clearly, Canadian boy, you gotta love Fred Penner.
Yeah, loved Fred.
Don't
Penner.
know him.
Don't know Fred
Really?
Penner?
Classic.
Oh man, climbs out of a log, plays acoustic guitar.
No idea, man. I've never heard of this.
You should do a little bit of
You should
research on Fred
yeah,
Penner.
You should do some
I will.
research.
It's a national
Canadian
treasure.
legend.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was like my embarrassing beginnings, like all this good music around me, and me just gravitating towards like Backstreet Boys and Cher.
Sure.
Yeah.
So,
What's your favorite Backstreet Boys song?
Oh man,
Too many to count.
there's a lot. Backstreet's Back is sick. And I've had a newfound love for it, knowing more music theory now and understanding that it's like pretty much a metal song.
Really? What about it? Is it like?
Dun, 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 dun.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
I
that's
guess
true.
like the electric guitars and
Shit.
stuff kind of brings
I
in
didn't
that
even
vibe.
notice
Yeah,
that.
it's like a gnarly riff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
There's a cover, a band that I went on tour with, or we played a bunch of shows with a long time ago. Blind Witness, they did a cover of that song.
Oh yeah.
dang, I'm sure they tore that shit up. Too.
Oh, it was sick.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, it was. That's probably my favorite Backstreet Boys song, and then Cher, of course, was "Do You Believe."
So
That sweet autotune.
growing up in a household where you were surrounded with pretty decent music, and then seeking out something that was seemingly vapid or whatever,
Yeah.
maybe just easy for a young mind to comprehend. Did your parents ever encourage you to explore?
No, they were just down with what I liked.
Yeah, they were just supportive of it.
Yeah, throughout all of my music listening, my mom's always just been like, "Yeah, it's cool."
Not even one that's just like, I don't know about this, Sam.
Well, anything hardcore, with like screaming vocals.
Screaming, yeah.
She's just doesn't want to hear it.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean she won't put up with it, because she definitely has.
That's very kind of her.
But yeah, she's never like, because if we're moving on to song 2, where it was like my kind of expressing myself in the music I like, not
Right,
just
right.
like thinking that I found my artist that I like.
Right.
That was like Blink-182.
Okay. Cool.
I loved Blink.
What was it about Blink that started to like draw you in?
Part of it was the humor.
Cool.
It was like, oh, you can have fun with music. Like, that's cool.
Are they what got you into bass?
No, that's my first instrument's actually guitar. I'm mainly a guitar player, and they helped get me into guitar for sure. Because it was like, oh, I can play these riffs.
So then what pushed you towards bass?
Joining Atlantic.
Yeah.
Oh, really? You were just kind of like shoehorned into the role?
A little bit, yeah.
Wow, that's
I always
interesting.
liked bass,
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
but
of
I didn't
course.
know that I really liked it until Atlantic.
Yeah.
Cool.
We're all guitar players here, right? Yeah. And I think the bass is just kind of like, for me at least, was always like this afterthought. It was like, I can play it, I like it, but I'm gonna stick to this thing with 6 strings for now. You know, I was never like put into a position where it was like, oh, I'm gonna be the bass player now. It was never like that for me. But it is an instrument that I admire, and it's a lot of fun to play.
Yeah, and there's definitely, like when I started learning guitar, I didn't want to learn guitar solos. I just wanted to play rhythm stuff and learn some riffs.
Chords and stuff.
Like I never sat down and learned someone's solo. So for me, it was always about rhythm.
Cool.
So when I started exploring bass, it was like, oh, this is perfect.
Just makes
perfect
sense, the
fit,
rhythm
yeah.
aspect of it.
See,
So,
I always feel like a guitar solo is like somebody's signature. I never felt like it was something you should ever like strive to kind of take away.
Yeah.
Because you can like take away a bit of the theory of how somebody does their solos, but I felt like you should always kind of make it your own, put your own spice, your own flair onto it. So yeah, I totally get where you're coming from.
and even a band like Blink is just like guitar, bass, and drums, so it's easy to
Yeah.
draw the essentials from that. So was there a specific song by Blink that kind of, was the turning point where you're like, oh, there's this whole kind of thing?
Yeah, the catalyst for sure was All the Small Things.
Yeah,
Right,
all the
like
small
that's-
things.
It's just so classic.
Was it did you watch it with the video at the first time, or did you kind of?
No, I heard the first time I actually heard All the Small Things that I remember was from the Mark, Tom, and Travis Show CD. So it was a live version.
And that's one of my
Okay.
favorite versions too.
Yeah. So yeah, it wasn't with the video. It was just a live version of the song.
Oh, okay, cool.
From that record, and also in that version, there's like all the humor and there's the chatter before and the banter before and after and
Yeah,
stuff like that. That
yeah.
made me really like it.
their whole goofy kind of vibe was really something to be gravitated towards, especially being younger and when you were kind of like,
Absolutely.
oh, you can be like an idiot
Yeah.
and have it be a career, I guess.
Sure, yeah.
There's something to relate to, I guess, because when you're that young, you're immature.
Did Blink 182 lead you to any other pop punk, Sum 41, stuff like that?
I listened to a lot of Gob.
Mm-hmm.
Sum 41 for sure. But yeah, Gob was like the next big one.
Okay.
I think I only know 2 songs from that band,
Yeah, I don't have much experience with Gob.
and I
other
just
than what
remember
I've
the
heard on
zombie
the radio.
music video.
Oh yeah.
That's
If
about all I
you-
know.
If you like just put on Gob, you would recognize more songs than you
Really?
think. Yeah, because they actually got some play in Canada on the radio and stuff, which people.
Yeah, I
love.
saw the name around all the time, and I'd hear them getting called out on 102.1 The Edge. It was just like, I don't think any of their songs had that kind of hook for me where it just like caught my ear, like a earworm, I guess. I don't think it really ever hit me like that, but I do know they're like pretty prolific for a period of time there.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually now, the singer from Gob plays guitar in Sum 41.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Oh, he still does?
In their new-
Because Brownstown's back in some
Yeah, but
41.
he still does. Yeah.
Oh, so is Derek just taking the front man kind of
No, Derek's
position?
playing guitar.
So just 3
Yeah,
guitars.
3 guitar attack.
Holy
Interesting.
shit.
Interesting. Maybe
Yeah.
I gotta check back into that.
Yeah, I've only there's like a couple live videos I saw, and it doesn't sound like there's 3 guitar players, but
Right. I like Sum 41 is like one of those bands for me where they're held in a special tomb in my brain where I
Yeah.
go, I love them at this point in my life, and I don't know if I'm ready to destroy that by exploring what they're doing now.
sure.
You know?
Singer
I get
almost
that.
died, didn't he?
He had a rough time. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah alcoholism.
From alcohol,
was a problem,
Yeah.
I heard them recently, though. They are still holding up.
Yeah?
Like
They
kind
play
of
live
still-
well. Yeah.
Yeah, they play live well. They are kind of maintaining their old sound.
Cool.
Like kind of when a band hits a certain level of maturity, they've just been going on for so long that they kind of go back to their roots, and it doesn't feel
Sure.
as much as like they're kind of just falling back on it as much as it's like, oh, they gave the people what they want, and hopefully
Right,
they don't
right,
stick
right.
to that with the future albums.
Interesting. So then, after that phase, what kind of led you to where you are now? Like, what are you into now? I
It's
guess?
it's interesting because there was a huge like I listen to a ton of music.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not even close to a one genre guy.
Sure.
I'm like all over the board. So
I don't think any of us are
Yeah.
either.
between like getting into Blink and being where I am now, there was so many different pathways that I kind of went down from, any like indie rock to like a bunch of folk acoustic stuff, into some like progressive metal and hardcore. I kind of skipped all the classic rock stuff.
Sure.
I didn't really listen to much of that.
Is that something you've returned to now, or it's just never
It's
interested
something
you?
that I appreciate,
Mhm.
but it's not something that I actively
Yeah.
like. I'm never like, let's listen to AC/DC.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Like there's like a couple classics for me, like Sabbath, Zeppelin, things of that nature, where it's like the quintessential, I suppose.
Yeah.
But I was surrounded by friends who loved classic rock, and I was just like,
Yeah,
I'll listen to what that inspired now. Like that interests me
Yeah.
more, because
exactly.
like some of those sounds are just, they sound dated,
Yeah.
Yeah, or not even that. Just like it wasn't. I had already found other things that filled that spot.
Sure. Okay, fair enough.
That like kind of like rebellious or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I was listening to the people that were doing it at the time, so like I was really into a lot of local music
Mm-hmm.
between like middle school
Mm-hmm.
and well till now I guess, but really really into local music.
Iron Bitch Face.
Yeah, I have an Iron Bitch Face album.
Two-liner.
Like I actually have one of their
Yeah, I
hard
remember
copies.
being at the show at Albert McCormick and they were just like handing them out at the show. It was so funny.
Yeah. So like I was super into like the Charge.
Yeah, I went to go see them too.
Yeah.
That was so long ago though.
Oh, huge time.
I think I was
ago.
in grade 7.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was like really into a bunch of local bands. But then also, if we're talking about bigger bands, like I was really into like Closet Monster, and like Propagandhi,
Cool.
and like I had a big kind of punk swing. But then on the other side of it, I was really into Jack Johnson.
Yeah,
Oh,
sure.
nice.
Sure. I was right there with you. I think.
Singer-songwriter kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I was also really, and I will say easily my favorite band of all time, and I can say this because it's just been consistent through my life, is Death Cab for Cutie.
Hell yeah.
Oh, nice.
Never
Hell
listened
yeah.
to any of them.
Oh, they're great.
There's
I-
definitely some songs to hear.
Yeah, I
the
definitely.
name really throws me off for some reason. I
You
just
should give
never
them a
check
go.
them out.
Yeah, I mean that's a good one. But if you want some like good band music, like Bixby Canyon Bridge, Cath, pretty much anything off of Narrow Stairs, their album, like
Yeah, I
it's
had
just
a
really good music.
a kind of similar thing going on where I was listening to like a lot of Black Flag,
Yeah.
Rage Against the Machine, the
Yeah,
Dead Kennedys. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But then I would flip it over to like some Jack Johnson or Elliott Smith, a little more depressing, but like totally like on the opposite side of the spectrum.
Holds the vibe still.
And it's funny because to this day, like I'll still go through periods where like me and my girl will be driving around, I'll be playing some metal or some punk or whatever, and then I'm like, well, let's put on some Jack Johnson, and she's just like, why do you do this? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
And I'm like, it
I'm
makes
feeling
perfect
it.
sense. Yeah, exactly.
that's what I want to hear right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm very similar in that way. And yeah, I definitely listened to Rage, a lot of Rage, and Audio Slave.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Audio Slave was amazing.
They actually, I played a lot of that stuff on guitar too. And Billy Talent, I listened to a bunch. But yeah, if I had to pick a song from that time period, one that I always go back to, and I wouldn't say it's my favorite song, but one that kind of represents my like middle school time period, is a song called Slaves to the Pavement by Belvedere. It's like fast poppy punk
Cool.
with like this ripping guitar solo, and like I bought an SG because of them.
That's wild.
Did you hate it?
My
The
SG?
SG?
I hate it now. Yeah.
They're terrible.
Yeah, I loved it at the time.
Wow,
I
what's
hate
wrong
it
with
now.
them? I always looked at an SG with like eyes of admiration. I was like, wow, that is a really pretty looking guitar.
No.
Yeah, I recently rented one for a Rage cover set because it was the only thing at the music shop with a toggle switch. So it was that or a Les Paul, and I was like,
What's the issue? What's bad with it?
They're top heavy.
Yeah. So they're
Yeah,
way down.
They're
Like,
really mid-rangey.
Okay.
hard to stay in tune.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, that's the-
interesting. I was just telling these guys last week that I'm like the wrong person to talk to about hardware because I have this Fender Squier Strat that I have like a strange attachment to, and like no matter what other guitar I pick up and play, I always go back to this old beat up guitar that I was given when I was like 12 years old.
But you know how to make it sound good now, don't you?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like
yeah.
I know its weird quirks and how to work it. So
You know how to work it.
yeah,
Hell yeah.
That's like
Yeah.
this mic for me.
yeah, sure.
This is the first condenser mic that I bought when I
Okay.
was 15.
Cool.
How
I
much did you
started
pay
recording.
for it?
400.
Holy
Okay.
shit.
Wow.
What kind is it?
It's a Rode NT1A.
Oh, nice.
Damn.
Wow.
Yeah, it was
I
like,
feel like when you pay that kind of cash, that's your
You're
life.
gonna get attached
that's
to
your
it.
life.
Yeah.
yeah, it was like the like I know how to make it sound good. I can
Sure.
I can record anything with this thing.
Cool.
Do you record everything with it, or have you kind of found that now as you've gotten to know it, you're like, it sounds best for insert
It's
instrument here?
it's probably my desert island microphone because I
Cool.
know how to use it.
Cool.
But I now know other mics that are better at it at a bunch of stuff.
Okay.
So like, I'm not going to put it in front of a guitar cab anymore, but I could.
Good.
Right,
'Cause
and,
you know
and,
how
I,
to-
and I can make it sound good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, mostly now I use it on some acoustic guitars and that's kind
Vocals?
and vocals sometimes. Yeah.
Cool. So
But yeah, any song I've ever recorded,
all on there.
yeah,
Wow.
Holy
at
shit.
least one track was on this.
That's interesting. Well, to lead into that and your involvement with local music and your love for it, would you mind if we play one of your old songs and introduce some of the people who might not be familiar with your old band, Die Atlantic?
Yes, and the vocals were recorded on this.
Okay.
Oh, nice. little Easter egg for y'all.
Yeah.
Devin, you want to let this one fly?
Thank
seen that video so many times now that it doesn't. It's just like part of me. I don't know.
Does listening to older music that you made sound weird to you?
Depends how old.
Like this, for example.
No, this doesn't. Yeah, Diatlantic stuff I enjoy.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it still sounds like pretty relevant.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
the sound, it's not dated. Like
Yeah.
I could imagine that coming out next Friday, and I would totally just be okay with it. Like it wouldn't be jarring. It wouldn't be weird.
That is a huge
Would it be
compliment.
dated? Yeah.
Because I recorded
Yeah.
that in my mom's basement.
Well, it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's
That's
a
a nice
full
basement.
body, it's a full-bodied sound, my friend.
Yeah, I recorded a lot of stuff in my mom's basement. But
Did your
Yeah, I
parents
guess-
give you like did they allow you to do it, or were you just kind of like, I'm
taking
running,
over.
I'm doing this?
I took it over. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I like my family. They're kind of pack ratty, a little bit hoarderish.
Okay.
So I took it upon myself to clean the basement and turn it into something.
Oh, nice.
Like-
So that like earned your spot.
Yeah, it was like
Okay.
I'm doing this, so I'm gonna clean it out, and it took forever. And there was there was definitely some secret dump runs.
Oh yeah.
Like, not
Did
telling
they ever notice?
No, no.
That's great. That's great.
When did you start?
I started recording when I was 15. 14,
You started like
15?
recording bands or just like recording
myself.
yourself?
Yeah, myself at first.
Mhm.
Because I was writing music, and recording was expensive, and I couldn't afford it.
Mhm.
So I just started
No,
making it work with my
It
family
looks like
computer.
it's running.
What did you start running with, like Audacity or?
First Audacity with like a Windows 95 like microphone that came with some computer.
Yeah.
And then moved to Sonar and FL Studio, and now eventually to
If it's
Logic
red, that means
on a Mac. So
Do you
Always
like
wanted-
working on a Mac more than PC?
I do.
Yeah.
Is it the fluidity of its UI that's just so nice, or is it just
Part of it,
aesthetic?
like I can get by on either.
Mm-hmm.
Part of I think the reason why I've kind of like made myself love my Mac was because of how much I like Logic.
Mhm.
Like Logic is such a good recording program for someone who's creating as well as recording.
Mhm.
The fluidity of like inserting a digital instrument track, and then also having audio tracks beside it is just, it's so simple. And it's been that simple for 10 years, whereas other programs kind of had to catch up.
Yeah.
So I just got used to it.
Logic's kind of been ahead of the curve.
Does
Yeah.
the thought of switching out to another studio program horrify you at this point?
Not really. A little bit. But I'm pretty quick at learning things.
Yeah.
What's your next go-to?
My next go-to from Logic would probably be Pro Tools. And then who knows, like maybe Ableton. I've used that a bit. I know my way around Cubase a bit. I haven't tried Studio One yet, but
You should.
I know everyone.
It's great.
Everyone seems
It's low
to,
on everybody's list.
everyone seems to really like it though. Like everyone
Yeah.
that uses it seems to dig it.
I mean, like
It's-
watching Ian mess around on it, it seems pretty
Yeah.
easy.
I think the
pretty
reality
good
is
to
that all DAWs are good now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just picking the one that.
That
They all bring a
fits you
little
the
something
best.
different to the table. Like Ableton brings a more performance aspect.
Yeah.
Studio One is like really just easy to use if you've just never used a DAW
Mhm.
before, compared to like something like Reaper. I'm sure you know how.
Oh yeah, Reaper stuff.
Yeah, but it's great. Reaper's
Yeah.
like the most flexible if you know how to really, I don't know, if you know how to customize it, or if you just have the willpower to. But
Yeah.
Pro Tools is industry standard, so it's good that you know it, because any studio you go into, most likely,
Yep. Yep.
yeah,
Pro
you're
Tools is
just
like
gonna
having a
have it
tape
there.
recorder.
Yeah,
It's like we're just recording. Obviously, you can do everything with it, but
yeah.
Going back to Diatlantic, do you want to talk about the history of the bands a
Sure.
little bit? Like, kind of, where did you guys start? Why did you start?
so I'm not a founding member.
Okay.
I
How were you brought in?
I was brought in by my friend Emmett O'Kane, who you see playing drums in the video we just watched, but he was playing guitar at the time. So I said that I would record them, and then I ended up playing some like keyboard stuff and like a few piano parts, and I would like trigger bass hops, and I would like I had like lights that I would turn off and on.
Nice.
An integral part of studio recording.
While you were recording them, you were...
No, like when we would play live, I had these lights that I would turn off and on in time with music.
All right.
Like every metalcore band had light boxes.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
Those two above the each amp that would.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that was me just
Big truck
with
lights.
light switches on this rig I made with a keyboard and light switches.
It's cool.
And then, as members kind of moved out, as maybe the music got harder or their lives got busy.
Yeah.
I took over bass, and then some guitar players left. We got new guitar players. Emmett switched to drums, so the whole kind of lineup went that way.
How old were you guys when all this was kind of going down?
I want to say 16, 17, 18, 19. It was pretty much between like the end of high school and the beginning of people going to university.
Right. Is that what made it tough and like kind of inevitably led to like the bands splitting up? Like everybody had to go off and do their own thing. Like you guys had to make that decision.
Well, Emmett was the only one in university, and he really made it work. We would book things totally around his schedule, and he really dedicated himself to making it happen. So it actually wasn't ever really a big issue.
Okay, cool.
I think more of it was, it's just that time in life where you're getting a lot of external pressure to do other things. And people just have to move on and try different stuff. And also everyone's taste had been changing. Like there was definitely a bit of tension in between what kind of music we wanted to make.
Right. Yeah.
A little bit of that for sure.
Did you guys feel like you had to reevaluate, like, hey, what are we trying to do? Like, what are we all okay with how this is going to sound? Or was it kind of just like a elephant in the room that started to get bigger and bigger?
It was a bit of an elephant in the room. It definitely wasn't like a breaking up factor like that. We didn't really break up. There wasn't like a big fight and we all stopped. It was more like
fizzle.
Like Mitch quit, and then because he was figuring out what he wanted to do with his life. And now he's a very successful barber, which is sick.
Yeah.
And then the rest of us were still kind of working on the songs, and we were recording things, and we were doing some featured vocalists instead, and kind of auditioning some people, and nothing just panned out.
Right.
And it just kind of fizzled.
Yeah, it's tough for me to use the word like breakup. Like it.
Yeah.
It's taken with such a negative connotation where.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're normally pretty rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
but you say hiatus, and then there's an expectation that
That's
they're
true.
coming
Reunion
back together.
tour.
And then once they do, it's kind of like...
Yeah, exactly.
Did you do the mixing and mastering on your...
I did everything on that. Yeah.
That's
Holy
awesome,
shit.
man. Great work.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like when I
that's
heard
fantastic.
that, I couldn't believe that there was some dudes in my town making music like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think a lot of people thought that. That's why
Yeah, it was
a lot of
wild.
people
It was
came to your
wild.
shows, is because I think, although like some people are just like listeners rather than like musicians, people can like kind of smell talent and bullshit. So when people kind of saw what you guys were doing, I think they really gravitated towards that, and it helped keep the scene kind of just going down whatever path it was going down.
Yeah, and it was a really cool scene at the time. Like we would play regularly with Intake of Glass from town, who just did a reunion.
Did you catch them?
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
Cool.
I
was a
don't
good
really
time.
remember it too much, but there's Intake Glass was around. You had like Unlimited. They would play a bunch. Yeah, Nick Unlimited. Yeah, great dude. Who else? I don't know. There was a bunch of like Auras was just getting started.
Set Anchors.
Set Anchors. Yeah. Set Anchors was around.
They caught the whole wave
Yeah, they
as
were-
soon as it came up.
yeah,
they
they
kind of
were
went
like-
away towards.
Yeah, they were like right at the beginning, like just before Die Atlantic.
Yeah, exactly.
Had a lift because they actually had their CD release with they had their first show with Kingdoms.
Oh, nice.
It was like a dual first show, I think.
Cool.
If I'm remembering that right, and it was like legendary. It was sick.
Who else?
Yeah.
Auras.
Yeah,
They're still
Auras.
kicking though.
They're
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
They really
They've-
evolved.
They just
Yeah.
get better and better. man.
exactly.
They're wild.
They really
like-
do. Yeah, those are great dudes.
Yeah, sure.
And then if we kind of expand out of the area, like we played a lot of shows with Horizons.
Oh yeah, Horizons. Jeez.
So they were around for sure. And then at the same time, we played a bunch of shows with Counterparts and Structures. They were kind of happening at the time.
Shout out to Structures, jeez.
Yeah. Shout outs to both.
Yeah, both, but I don't know. I guess it was something that just did it for me. Structures,
Fair
when I
enough,
heard
yeah.
it was like so ahead of the curve. And
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, it was definitely blew our minds. So yeah, there was that kind of like Toronto, Southern Ontario scene happening that people were just totally digging.
Yeah, there was a lot of buzz. A lot of buzz for sure.
Yeah.
Biggest tour that you guys went on?
The biggest tour we went on, like longest tour we went on, was with a band from the States called Belie My Burial.
nice.
And we did like when we played in the States, they headlined, and then we played in Canada. We headlined, and it worked out really well. Definitely gained a lot of followers on both sides, and those dudes are so nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just the nicest people. And honestly, when we were in the States, like we had good times. But that was like a 3-week tour, something like that.
How are you promoting your music? Just like on MySpace or?
Yeah, MySpace, Facebook.
Did you have like a manager, like a booking agent that you kind of...
No.
No? Wow, that's
No.
really impressive.
Yeah.
Especially back then, it was kind of, having a DIY kind of grind was
Yeah.
just starting, so it was...
Yeah, I feel like there was a lot of like small promoters that were wanting to take big time advantage of
Yes.
groups just like you guys.
Yeah, we were
Definitely.
really like so Mitch did a lot of the booking,
Mm.
and then my good friend Adam, he'd like tagged along and would kind of manage us a bit, and he would maybe deal with the promoters and kind of plan things a little bit,
Right.
and manage a bit of our money and stuff when we were on tour. And we took it really seriously. Like if we were playing a show, we sent a contract, it got signed, we got it back, and then we confirmed the show.
Sure. I was gonna say that whenever I listened to you guys and saw you guys perform, there was nothing lazy about Die Atlantic.
Yeah.
Like
No,
you're saying,
no.
like everything was really tight.
It's like, how are these guys pro in their our age? Like,
yeah,
it's-
exactly.
It's like, how
It blew
long have
my
they been doing
mind.
it for?
It blew
and-
my fucking
yeah,
mind. I'm
it's
like, I'm
good.
sitting here playing World of Warcraft on a 15-year-old computer, and these guys are just nailing it. Like, what kind of steps do I have to take to get to that sort of level?
That is a huge compliment, and it feels good because that's always been my focus when in any band, like even in SUNDIVER now. Like, I want to come out as confident and as clean as possible, and if I'm not doing that, then I don't
Sure.
I don't feel good about it.
I think you guys are definitely off to like a great step with SUNDIVER. I've been checking them out over the past couple days now since I knew you were coming on. Would you mind if we play a track so everybody else can get a taste?
Absolutely, go ahead.
Yeah.
Cool.
But it was a cool experience to learn how other people work
Sure.
and what it's like to just be a guitar player,
Yeah, for sure.
because that had never happened for me before. So part of it was a selfish thing, like, yeah, let's spend this money and go record here so I can experience it.
That sounds great. That sounds great to me.
And at that time, we had a drummer named Eddie Stenard,
Okay.
who played in like Hollow Sea back in the day, and he's a super good dude. White Cap Co. clothing is his clothing line.
Oh,
Yeah,
word.
yeah, so you might have seen that around.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's the dude, and he now actually cuts hair with Mitch.
Cool.
Oh, nice. Look at that.
yeah.
Full circle.
Yeah, exactly. So he played drums for a bit, but he was just too busy becoming a hairdresser and all these other things.
Right.
So we ended up actually playing our first year of shows without a drummer. We just used Ableton with drum tracks.
Really?
Oh, interesting.
Nice.
Holy
How
shit.
how does that go over for like crowd energy?
Yeah.
The number of times people said, "Oh, I didn't even know you didn't have a drummer."
That's so crazy.
Wow.
yeah.
Did you guys like bring your energy though? Were you guys
Oh,
you
yeah.
guys making up? Were you
Gotta
guys
double the
compensating
energy.
for the lack of like the
Hugely.
energy a drummer provides, even just like them just kind of
The sweat.
We were
it's
compensating.
the sweat, the
Yeah.
drum sweats.
We were compensating in every way, like finding ways to make my guitar tone, because at the time I was the only guitar player. Finding ways to make me just sound like six people,
Yeah.
making the bass just sound massive,
Mm.
and actually abusing the fact that we had electronic. Well, they were like, I programmed all the drums that we played to, and then we would like. Jacob, he had Ableton in front of him. He could like distort them or compress them, or
Right, right.
so we kind of made it part of the performance.
Did you guys let any other sort of like soundscapes run through Ableton, or you just do strictly the drums?
Just the drums?
Nice.
Okay.
Which drum pack did you use?
For that, I was using Addictive Drums.
Nice.
Yeah, one of their like modern kit or something like that. I don't remember what it's called.
Classic.
Classic. Yeah, Addictive Drums all the way. And so we actually made it part of the performance. Like we would crank up effects and stuff. And then if we were playing more DIY shows, I actually took those drums and I printed them to cassette.
Whoa.
And I took excerpts from the audiobook called Sundiver and like cut it between the songs.
That's super cool.
So it was like we would get on stage and we'd put in a tape and that actually played our drums.
Oh, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, so we did that for a while
Jeez.
when we were playing like basements and stuff like that.
That's super dope.
And then just in August, we found a drummer.
Cool.
We did some auditions and we got a guy, his name's Rob Greco.
Mm-hmm.
We're his first band.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
How old is he?
24,
Okay.
25. All of us are 27, 28, so he's a bit younger, but he's super cool dude.
Is he unleashing a torrent on you guys? A torrent of being a single solo drummer for so long and then finally getting a chance to play with others?
I don't know. He's so chill and calm and willing to just play what I wrote.
That sounds great. That sounds like exactly what a bass player or a guitar player or a vocalist would want in a drummer.
Yeah. It's nice. So now that we're working on the full length stuff, he's obviously involved in that creative process. Like the songs were written and like the basic grooves were written by me already, but now he's influencing his part on it. And we're actually in the process of recording the drums right now. And it's really cool to see how he's kind of, after learning our set list of old songs, how he's listening to these and already kind of getting the style.
Cool.
That's awesome.
Because it is kind of a unique drum style because it's written by me, a guitar player.
Yeah,
That comes from programming like prog metal drums.
definitely. You don't take into consideration somebody's bodily limits.
It's like you air drum it,
Oh, you can
right?
play faster.
You're like you program something. You're like, yeah, he can do that.
Yeah. You just kind of wave your
Yeah, you're
hands
like,
around.
yeah,
you're
yeah.
like, that makes
That
sense.
makes
You
sense.
can just left and right. They looks like you're
That's
kind of
great.
like.
That's great.
And yeah, he's been making it work. And I'm a jerk about playing to a click. I love playing to a click,
Sure.
or I love having someone in the band playing to a click.
Got to. If
I
you're-
know.
Yeah.
Like I think that's part of the reason why people thought the Die Atlantic was so pro
Yeah.
is because we played to a click.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
you
guys
guys
aren't a
kept it
funk band.
consistent.
I mean, it would be tough to stray
Well, yeah, it's like
for a group like that, you know?
some riffs. It's like 2 BPM too fast, you can't play it.
Yeah.
But then also 2 BPM too slow, and now you can't sweep anymore.
Sure.
Yeah. It's kind of awkward.
So yeah, I'm so used to playing with a drummer that plays to a click. And he showed up first day. I handed him it. I was like, "Have you ever played with a click before?" He's like, "Just practicing, but never with a band." And first show
Perfect.
we played, click in.
That's awesome.
Great.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
It was meant to be.
But I guess that's the key of a drummer. The click is just in his head. It's always been there, you know?
You're right. It's just making sure that they recognize that and
Yeah,
can attach those two thoughts together.
sure.
Um,
So you guys are working out the full length now.
yeah.
Do you have plans for how long you'd like it to be?
Oh, yeah.
Is
It's written.
oh, it's all finished.
Yeah.
Holy
We're just
smokes.
recording it.
Cool. Is there like a concept to it or any string to follow along?
Yeah, for sure. So our vocalist Jacob, he loves albums. Like he's a super music nerd,
Mm-hmm.
but he loves full albums and he likes complete works where one song needs the other before
Sure,
it and after
sure.
it. So he really wanted to make an album, and we were all down because I've never really made one myself, like not to all the way to the end. I've worked with other people and made albums, but never one that I would say was my own. And so we kind of let him run with the concept, but the idea that he came up with was, I guess I can say it. It's likely going to be called Animalism,
Okay.
Cool.
and it's about
Sounds sexy.
Yeah.
right, and it's very spooky. It's about how it's like the animalness of people.
Cool.
So there's songs about werewolves, there's songs about vampires,
Nice. That sounds awesome.
there's definitely some
Furries?
there's surely some furries in
Some
Surely some
pony
furry,
boys,
there. Yeah, absolutely. Some bronies.
clop heads.
My favorite.
Yeah, there's all sorts of stuff. But yeah, it's kind of a spooky vibe, and big and loud
Cool.
and punchy, and yeah, it's exciting and it's fun, and I'm really stoked to really get into it.
That's awesome.
But yeah, right now we pre-pro'd everything, and now we're just recording the drums, and then we'll move on to bass and guitar, and then vocals.
Awesome.
How do you feel about concept albums?
I love them. Yeah, I think they're cool. So yeah, this one, like, it's a concept album in that there's a concept overall, which is this
Yeah.
kind of the animalisticness of people.
Mm-hmm.
But then I also like concept albums where there's actually like a tangible story through the whole thing.
Right.
Like I think of like Coheed and Cambria.
Yeah.
How they have their graphic novels and then they write an album based on their graphic
Yeah.
novel.
Coheed's crazy.
Yeah, they take it to like the next level.
I never really got into them that much. Not for any reason, just like it was never one of those things I got
They're
around
pretty,
to. But
yeah.
Pretty
the-
talented.
yeah,
Yeah,
I've
they're
heard
quite good.
such things.
PSP.
Devin says they were the
Yeah.
stock
Yeah.
song on
Shout
the
out to
Sony
PSP.
Shout
Yeah,
out to
I believe
Sony
that.
PSP.
Shout out.
Yeah, so yeah, I love concept albums. I've worked on one before. I produced and played some of it, not a lot of it, but for a guy in town named Will Curry. The band's called Will Curry and the Country French, and the record was called They Killed Us. And I actually didn't know it was a concept album until it was done. While I was working on it, I had no idea. And the idea was that they're kind of like a piano-based rock band. With some orchestration elements, like some violins and all sorts of stuff.
Did they do
And-
those live, or did they just use like Contact?
Some live, some contact.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a long project. It took us
Yeah.
almost 2 years.
Holy shit.
That's wild.
crazy.
But yeah, check it out.
You proud of it? It
album's
sound good?
Oh yeah, I love it.
Cool.
It's called They Killed Us, and the first song is like straight up just the band, and by the last song, there's no one from the band in the song.
Okay.
So it's like each
oh,
song,
that's really
a different
cool.
member disappears. Like They Killed Us.
It becomes
Wow.
a bunch of key
Wow.
features.
Pretty interesting.
Yeah, it just turns into like
Understudies.
the last
Not
song
really,
is just like an orchestra with a female singer on it.
Cool.
crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll make sure I check that out.
yeah, I'm hugely proud of that record.
That's
Awesome.
awesome.
But yeah, it's a love concept albums for sure.
So, with the Sundiver record, are you guys looking to? So, it's not necessarily a story that's going through, but it's kind of like a theme that's
There's
going on.
Definitely a theme,
Um,
yeah.
Are you guys looking to incorporate any sort of like non-instrument elements to it, like any skit work, any samples, things like that?
There is a song with the spoken word part,
Okay,
but it's like really distorted and
sure.
muffled. It's supposed to like, it's kind of like an Easter egg thing with that. If you really want to know what it is, you'll look up the lyrics.
Okay,
Is the vocalist doing the spoken word part, or is like there's like
It's
you
him.
know, nice.
Well,
Okay.
maybe it won't be in the pre-pro.
Okay.
It is.
Leave
I
a
don't
little
know.
You'll just have
surprise.
to wait and see.
Yeah, I'll just have to wait.
Yeah, I don't even know. So we'll have to
do
wait.
you guys have a planned release date for it, or it's
No.
a long way out still?
Yeah, we'll probably have something come out before it.
Hmm.
Another EP or just even like 2 songs
Okay,
or something.
sure.
We'd love to do like a split with someone. So if you want to do a split with us, let us know. I'll record it.
Shout out! I'll make sure. I'll get the contact information out there for you.
Yeah. Our social media is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd love to do like a split with someone or something like that. Something just fun.
Who did Alexis on Fire do a split with?
Monine?
Yeah, that was a
Switcheroo.
sweet one.
Yeah, the switcheroo. That was a
Yeah.
good one. So yeah, I think that would be fun. But yeah, we have a couple songs that didn't make it to the full length that we like a lot.
Yeah.
That we'll probably use for something like that.
Cool.
And it would just be a matter of recording them and calling it a day.
Right
so
on,
we'll
right
probably have something that comes out before the record, because we don't really know how we're going to release it yet, or what we want to do for releasing it.
Sure. Do you have ideas in mind?
I mean, we're going to record it and finish it and have it done, and then probably start planning that more. I always like having like focusing on one job at one time.
Yeah.
Especially in a DIY project.
Right.
Like if you're trying to record it and promote it,
Mm-hmm.
one part of that equation is just not going to work out.
gonna fall.
Or just be a little lackluster.
Yeah. Whereas if we focus on recording it, getting it the way we like it,
Mm-hmm.
and then we focus
Then
on
you
releasing
entirely focus on the release.
So I mean, there's a good chance that we'll sit on it for 6 months once it's done, right? And just
sure.
look for a way to release it.
Yeah, I mean the climate of the industry right now is kind of like up in the air a little bit. So yeah, it's definitely something that you'd want to take your time into preparing.
And who knows where it'll be in 6 months, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But if
It's like, why plan it now if it's going to be different?
Yeah, no doubt.
it's just a matter of just keep going at it, because if you're just always going to wait until what changes, it's always going to change, and it's always going to change at a more quicker rate, like exponentially now. So
And
like marketing yourself is so, I don't want to say it's hard, but like you said, it's so time consuming now that it's hard to find a lifestyle balance unless you're fully committed to it. Some people can do it, maybe a lot can. It is exhausting, but yeah, I think the important thing is when you're like marketing your band to like either be really dedicated to it or just kind of be one of those, those like ominous projects that can kind of come out every 4 years with content. Everyone's like going crazy over it, and it's like, well, you guys don't market yourselves at all.
Yeah.
Like you guys you guys aren't like on the, internet's eyes like constantly, and you guys still crank out good stuff. I feel like there's kind of been like a divide now. It's kind of, you have to be one or the other.
Sure.
Constantly on.
I think a lot of it
off.
comes from touring.
Yeah, touring too, just being in the public eye.
Yeah.
Yeah, touring's huge for sure.
Yeah.
So we definitely plan on like having it done, and then so right now we're not playing as many shows just because we're working on it. We still are playing shows when they come up, but we plan on obviously playing a lot once it's done, and adding some of the new songs to the set list. And
Right. Cool. Is there any venues that you prefer to play around here with Sundiver?
Yeah. I mean, I loved when it was around. There was the Snake Pit.
Mm-hmm.
Where the hell was that?
Yeah.
The Snake Pit was my friend Chris's house.
Just like somebody's house.
in the basement. Yeah. Our
Jesus.
first show
Why
was
is it
there.
called the Snake Pit?
I don't
Chris
know.
had a bunch
you
of snakes.
It was a basement, and people drew snakes all over the walls or something. I actually don't know. That'd be a great question to ask him.
That's
But
hilarious.
It's called the
Hoping you
Snake
just had
Pit,
some
and
pictures.
we only played there twice, but they were great shows.
Was this
And-
a licensed venue?
No. This was a
BYOB.
pay what you can.
Cool.
Make donations if you'd like. But it was great. We played our first show there with Heart Attack Kids and Gene Daddy.
Awesome.
Oh,
Yo,
Gene
shout out
Daddy.
Gene Daddy.
Yeah.
It was the Gene Daddy C release actually.
Oh,
That
that's
guy's
wicked.
So that's why like I have such an attachment to that place, because
Cool.
it was Sundiver's first show in Waterloo.
Oh, nice.
And it was super cool.
Is it
Yeah,
still
that's
kicking around? Do you know?
Ooh.
Snake Pit?
Nope.
Nope.
House demolished.
Really?
Yeah.
Shit.
Nobody wants to buy a house when all these snakes are drawn.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
It was like definitely one of those houses on King Street by McGregor, the
Nice.
school there. So,
What's your least favorite venue?
oh wow, I don't know.
Yeah.
We can do it for former places. The Hive.
The Hive was interesting.
It was interesting. It wasn't bad. It was just, I don't know.
I did sound there once for Mishu,
Okay.
and it was super fun. And I played acoustic one time myself in the basement, because there was 2 stages there.
Nice.
But I don't actually remember if Diatlantic ever played there.
Well, the Hive was a huge, local show spot, and when
Yeah.
the scene was happening, it probably.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I remember seeing Auras there,
Oh yeah.
and they were sick.
I don't think I went to any show there.
There was
It
a
was-
lot of shows there.
Yeah. The stage was in the corner. I remember by the
Yeah.
windows. Yeah.
It was very, very small and in
Yeah.
the corner.
Sounds like Fat Cats. Stage just tucked away in the back corner.
Yeah.
Mm.
Which is now Hacks.
Yeah.
Fat Cats.
I don't know. Like, I think any venue can be awesome if you make it work.
Sure.
And
Oh,
put the
definitely.
time into
Yeah,
it.
definitely.
Like, So I mean, yeah, Snake Pit was fun in someone's basement. But like Harmony's fun.
Yeah.
We haven't played Chainsaw, but it's great.
Oh, it's good.
Open Sesame we've played.
Oh,
Where's
nice.
Kitchener City Hall, like
Jesus.
attached to Kitchener City Hall.
You know, like where
it's like
where
a
the
little
people play
art
checkers and
gallery
chess.
kind
Oh,
of
like
thing.
the outside area?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's inside.
No, it's inside. But you know, on the outside where the people play like
Yeah.
checkers
And
and
there's, like,
stuff like
glass
that.
Room behind them. It's that glass room.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So it's an art shop during the day, and then you can rent it for not very much money, and they just push all of the shelves to the side, and they have a little PA.
Crazy.
That's cool.
So
So
that's
we're coming up on an hour here. We're just going to take a quick little break, and we'll be back in about 5 minutes or so.
5 minutes.
Sounds good.
BRB.
Hey, and welcome back. I would just like to remind everybody that this episode of the Ape Audio Podcast is brought to you by UUndies, from the creators of MeUndies. We will ship to you a fresh pair
Of my undies.
Ian's undies once a
Ian's.
week with a designer stain.
Woohoo!
Will it be brown? Will it be red? Will it be yellow? You'll never know.
Please sponsor us. We're poor.
Yeah. We need coffee.
Okay, I want to get
coffee.
into a little side project of yours.
Oh, sure.
So this was with another member of Sundiver, correct? With Jacob.
Yeah.
So this is a crew called Hot Future.
Yeah.
And do you want to, before we play the jam, do you want to explain what this little endeavor was?
Yeah, so Jacob and I have been making music for a long time, like easily 10 years. And we've made a lot of music and never released any of it.
Damn.
So,
After hearing this, I don't know why.
oh, thank you. So our first project that we did was called Fox Hunt. There's a video on YouTube
Okay,
shot by yours truly.
nice.
Ooh.
That's real great.
Yeah.
The song's cool though. It's called Gold Diggin', and that was more of like a band approach at the two of us writing. So we actually played a show at Maxwell's, the old Maxwell's.
R.I.P.
Yeah, a long time ago, with Emmett from Atlantic on drums, Jacob playing keys and guitar, and me playing guitar, and then we just had like tracks for bass and stuff.
Cool.
And yeah, then we just kept writing, and like we've probably, the two of us together have probably written like at least like 3 EPs worth of music. But Hot Future was kind of an approach like, let's make something more electronic, more abstract, and just kind of like not really think about what we're making and just make it.
Yeah, sure.
Who came up with the name?
I think I did.
What were you thinking about?
This vent.
No idea. People think it's like a environmental thing.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like we're coming into a hot future.
Yikes.
Jesus.
Yikes.
But honestly, like I have no idea how.
I love the name. It gives me like some sort of like vaporwave vibes.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
exactly what I was thinking.
The second I came up with it, I really dug it.
Yeah.
But I don't really remember where it came from.
It's one of those artist names or band names that sounds like it's already famous.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You know.
But yeah, so and then this stuff I just released.
Okay. Yeah, I just saw it go up. So
But
That's how you get into it.
we finished this like 4 or 5 years ago.
Oh,
damn.
really?
Yeah.
So
well,
what was,
before we talk anymore, do you want to let it ride? You don't always have to have a big thought out
Yeah.
rollout for everything, you know?
And that's kind of what ended up happening.
Yeah, sure.
Was I just put it out. When it was actually Sundiver was kind of starting, and I was like, and we put up some Sundiver stuff, and I was like, oh, that was easy. I was like, oh, I could just put this out.
Yeah, it's kind of weird once you get like a ball rolling, and you're like, well, I don't have to stop. But it's once it starts to slow down, you get lazier and lazier and lazier.
Because I feel like once you start kind of creating and you start getting into more of a headspace of creating on your own, you're just more satisfying the urge of yourself creating, and you don't care about getting it out there to other people because you're satisfying your own kind of urge of like, oh, what do I want to get out of this product? And then you finally get it.
There's a sound in my head. I need to get it out.
Yeah.
And then once it's out, you're like, that's fine.
That's
like, you and I have talked about this. I have like hundreds of little projects on my PC, and none of them will probably ever see the light of day just because I'm like, yeah, it's fine. Like, and that's I got the itch scratched, and I don't need other people to hear it. Yeah. When they do hear it, they usually like it, but that's not what I'm after.
That's kind of why like being in a band is nice, and being in a band with like multiple members is because there will be sometimes like that one member that's just really ambitious to get it out there to other people.
Sure.
Because they're like showing it to their friends at work, or they're updating on it, and they're saying like, hey, you should like send us your music when it's done, and then they're more ambitious to get that kind of stuff out. So when it finally does, you know, sometimes it's good to have that extra push in a band.
Well, I find it's always kind of funny too, because you're not necessarily looking for that approval from other people, and when they do, like if I have a friend over and they hear one of the tracks, or like I throw one up in the Discord or something, and one of you guys is like, yo, that's actually pretty dope, and I'm like, no, nobody else will ever hear it, but that's cool to know.
Yeah. Thanks for feeding my musical ego.
Yeah, for sure. But I've also never had the pleasure of like being in a band or anything, so I never have had other people.
Choice? Just don't want to be in a band, or
I don't know. It's just never worked out. Like I jammed with your old drummer Chris Nelson a little bit, and like it was fun, but I don't know. It was just kind of like a basement thing. Like it was never to turn into anything else.
Yeah.
So.
Did you ever want it to turn into something else?
Not really. It's like
I get that.
You're like standing there jamming. You're like, I hope this doesn't get serious. I'm just kidding.
Pretty much though. Pretty much. Like I hope. Like I know.
I can't start getting. Good
I know.
at this.
I know absolutely no music theory. Like we went over this. I can write my own melodies. I have a decent ear. If I ever had to like remember something like note for note, the curtain would be lifted on my operation. You know? Yeah. But that's why I like making music with automated software on the computer, because I can look back at it and go, oh, this is exactly how it's tracked. Then I can kind of learn, okay, this is the note that I used here, blah, 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 blah. It's like a really stupid way I've went about learning music and learning how to create it. But it's fun for me, and that's all I need.
Yeah, when I was learning a guitar, I was just doing tabs for a long time.
Yeah.
And then I just never really started to get into theory until a couple of years ago, I think. And I was taking guitar class and shit too, but
I looked at sheet
for some
music
reason,
and I went,
learn theory in her class.
Yeah, I feel like learning music in high school, well, when you are like being taught something, it kind of depends on the teacher.
Yes.
So
yeah, she's high all the time.
well, I don't know about that, but you know, in high school, especially when you got a lot of energy and you're kind of always distracted, and music class is kind of a bird course for some people. They kind of just do it to get the pass and whatever. So when you're surrounded by all your friends who you didn't think would be into guitar and they're just starting to do that, you're like, well, I don't give a fuck about this class. Oh, I can play like decent. Okay, the teacher won't bother me because I'm practicing, right? So
yes,
it's kind of hard to get into theory unless they're super engaging and they make it, you know, cool and addicting.
I don't remember her teaching a thing. Like I remember getting the circle of fifths, I think.
Yeah,
probably.
And I looked at it. I'm like, I have no idea what the hell's going on.
Well, because I think the requirements for like teaching music in school, like not that I know, but I would assume just because there is like, especially for guitar, you know, when you start teaching music theory and guitar at the same time, I feel like that's a little bit more difficult for people who want to learn how to play guitar, because they want to learn rock songs, they want to learn, you know, pop punk songs usually when they start out when they're younger.
Yeah.
So learning music notation there's a process, you know what I mean? It's like doing karate, for example. You want to learn how to kick the shit out of somebody, but essentially they have to teach you like form, and they have to teach you like all these very delicate and you know, these kind of they teach it a little bit more meticulously. So with guitar, it's kind of the same way until, you find out what tabs are, and then you're like, okay, cool, it's like Guitar Hero. I just kind of like read it along, and then I go, and then they're in muscle memory, and then I'm good to go.
I learned how to read tabs, and then I was like, okay, I should learn how to read music now properly. And I looked at a piece of sheet music, and I was like Bart Simpson. I'm like, this shit looks fucking boring, man.
Yeah.
No.
I don't think I've ever heard Bart say
And
that.
that was, yeah, I don't know.
yeah.
I think part of it is, in terms of the teaching thing, is it's really hard it's really hard, especially in like the public school system, to make the music knowledge relevant to the instrument and the desire of each person learning that instrument in the big class.
Why do you say that with public school
Well,
teaching?
no, with
You
any
just never-
school.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was just wondering because
yeah,
I was wondering if you're like, oh, let's learn some hymns, guys.
Right?
Like,
Yeah, no. I guess I don't
Gospel.
necessarily mean public school, but in a
elementary school or
like high school,
Yeah.
like in a class setting.
Yeah.
It's really difficult to go, hey, you need to learn the circle of fifths because it's relevant to you in this way.
Yeah.
That's really tough.
And I think everybody kind of approaches, there's an aha moment in the circle of fifths for everybody in whatever way it, because the circle of fifths can be utilized so many different ways.
Yeah.
And I feel like certain people find a certain aspect of it in terms of how useful it is to kind of go, oh, okay, cool, I can use that. In high school, it's like you said, with a bunch of, because the creative mind, like when you're in a creative headspace, you want to be having fun, you kind of want to be a little loose. But when you have 30 16-year-olds in a room crammed with each other, being loose and kind of having that is
28 of them are smoking the devil's lettuce.
yeah, exactly.
the wacky tobacco.
The whack,
man.
eyes
That'll
red
get
as
you
the
in
devil's
trouble.
dick.
Romaine, yeah, that'll get you.
Yeah, E.
Um,
coli.
So I want to reel it in and kind of
Relevant.
bring it back to some
Yeah.
local music topics here.
Yeah, let's talk about me more.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I want to stop thinking that. Yeah.
Got him.
Okay. So, like, what's something that you think there was like a clear in kind of how the scene was all intertwined in the Tri-Cities, like really tight knit, really connected. Probably just because a lot of people went off to school, certain venues closed down, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
What's something you think we could do now to kind of promote that? Like, our thing right now is like we want to do this podcast,
Yeah.
so we can kind of get your message, or like whoever wants to come on here, if we can give them a platform to talk to people where it's not like 5 minutes in between a song at Chainsaw or through like a social media posting or something. We want the artist to have a bit more of an outlet, a little bit more time to get their message across. Like what's something you think people or businesses or whatever can do in the Tri-Cities to kind of promote a more positive like music scene around here?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that one of the things that happened with that kind of decline of the music scene is that the music scene just became more diverse. There's a lot of different, and not saying that there wasn't different types of bands before, but now there's just so much music.
Sure, definitely.
And I think embracing that diversity would be a huge part of getting that tight-knit community back together.
Yeah.
Like, you don't just have to like metal bands. You don't just have to like rock bands.
Yeah.
You can like anything, and music belongs together regardless of the genre. So I think in like the community level, just thinking about it, not like, oh, we're having a hip hop night,
Right.
or oh, we're
right,
having
for sure.
a punk rock night. Like, why not? Do you know what would be more punk rock? Putting them together.
Damn
Yeah.
right. Yeah, I was
Contrary to
I was gonna
popular
bring up,
belief.
like, I see some of the lineups going on around town, and you go, oh, it's just a bunch of punk bands together, or it's a bunch of DJs together, like exactly what you were saying. Yeah, I think it would be great to mix them together. Like, people, because we have so many streaming platforms and such a quick access to music that we didn't have really like a decade ago.
Yeah.
People are much more tolerant of different genres. Like, I know,
Hugely.
yeah, like growing up, it was like, yo, you listen to metal, that's all I listen to. Yo, you listen to pop, fuck you.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like people are kind of
There's
just
an
like,
elitist kind of.
I listen to whatever.
Yeah.
Like, if it's
Yeah.
good, it's good. And I don't think the promoters and booking agents like around the Tri-City should be afraid of having varying acts together like on the same bill. Like I think it could be really cool, and it could introduce a lot of people to a lot of different music that they might have not known was going on around town.
I think that's a good point.
Yeah.
Introducing to people to music that they didn't know existed.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that's what local music was for me. It was
discovery.
Yeah, it was like hearing a band and going, oh, like you can do that? All right, cool. And then I think another part is a big problem with shows right now is having the attendance stay for the whole show.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
And most
the
people wanna
headliner's
duck out by 10.
curse.
The headliner's curse, yeah. And
Yeah.
like, can you blame people if they've just heard 3 hours of the same kind of music?
Yeah.
Not at all.
Right?
Not
But
at
if
all.
every band is different,
They're like, what's going to be next?
what's next?
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. What does that band sound like? If you look at a bill and you say, oh, I haven't heard the next band, I wonder what they sound like. And that's an actual question. That's really cool.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if you can just guess what they're going to sound like because of the rest of the bill,
Yeah.
it's not exciting.
And you almost set up like a hierarchy when it's like only like whatever genre, only like a punk bill or metal bill or EDM bill or whatever it
Yeah.
is. It's not that you'll judge everything based on the first show, but there's more of a chance that it's like you don't want to stick around for the last band because you're like, okay, like that third band was pretty cool. The one that kind of after was so I don't know what else to expect. I'll just kind of go home. I've heard
Yeah.
enough, like whatever. So
Yeah, you're kind
set
of
up-
pitting bands against one
Yes.
another in a negative kind of way, where it's like, yeah, exactly. If maybe the second band had like an off night, all these people are gonna bail out, and suddenly you have 3 more bands left to play, and there's nobody there, and then those bands get pissed at the one band for fucking up or whatever. But if it was a little more diverse, it's like a breath of fresh air,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah.
Like,
it's also, if you're, let's say you're booking a show in Waterloo and it's going to be a pop punk show, you've just booked every pop punk band,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Not all of them are going to be the same caliber.
Yeah.
So the night is going to have a gradation in how good people are.
Mhm.
So, like, maybe that means no one shows up for the first band because, you know, they're not giving the shot. They're not giving the proper shot because everyone just assumes the first band's not as good. Because
Yeah,
how are you going to
most
have
definitely.
5 good pop punk bands
Yeah.
in the same
right,
town?
right.
You'll assume the last was just the best.
Yeah.
Plus, I feel like this kind of structure doesn't have a longevity to it because if you're billing the same bands on the same lineup and then you have to give them like a refractory period
Yeah.
where they can't play again together, if you just kind of mix that up, you could have the same bands performing every week if they wanted to, more if they wanted to.
Yeah.
Because it's not just the same lineup over and over and over.
Yeah, and that's what blew me away when I came back into the scene. Because obviously, when Dialentic was playing, like, we played with metal bands,
Yeah.
done, no question. If you
Yeah.
didn't scream, you probably didn't play with us. When I came back and played at the Snake Pit, it was Sundiver, kind of alt rocky, the Heart Attack Kids, like hardcore, and Gene Daddy.
Like
Right?
that sounds like a great show
Yeah.
to me. Like that
Like, it's a
sounds like fun.
super diverse lineup.
Yeah.
And I was immediately just like, oh, we can do whatever the hell we want now.
Yeah.
Like Chris, you know, who booked it. He like Chris Walton. I don't know if you know him. He's from Father Bodies.
Okay.
It just kind of like inspired us to not look at who was on the lineup and just say yes.
Sure. Yeah.
And we've ended up playing a bunch of really diverse shows because of that. And it's been super cool.
And outside of the live music, I feel like lots of bands might be able to benefit from it as well. You know, they get to take away, oh, these people are doing this kind of sound. Maybe we can take a bit of that
Yes.
and bring that back to our music. And maybe if it's not like exactly in line with one another, you can take little bits or like even have features and stuff, like work together. Like it could be
Yeah.
a cool, thriving scene. And it's different than what it used to be. Like it used to be fine to book so many hardcore acts together just because the whole city was fans of hardcore.
Yeah.
Like people are like chilling out now. Like people are getting older, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like it could be a great thing if they mixed it up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, another thing to point out is that we currently don't have a battle of the bands.
Right?
Yeah.
And
Everybody's a winner.
everybody and it's interesting because like I don't know if that's the answer, but it sure as hell worked.
Yeah. I think that's what it is. There's like, people who are competitive,
Yeah.
they'll push themselves a little bit harder
Yeah.
to compete, obviously, because the point of a competition
Didn't
is to
they
compete.
do a
and
battle
then
of the bands for Hope Fest?
No, they did. Wait. Oh wait, I think they might have. Wait.
I thought
I thought
my
they
friend's
did.
band.
What did they win?
They won
They got
like
to
a,
play like the opening or something.
yeah,
like,
like one of the spots there or something.
Like
So-
the last battle of the bands. The last battle of the bands I remember was the battle for Koi.
maybe it's Koi that I'm thinking of.
No, I feel like
Was there one?
I
for
feel
Hope
like
Fest?
Hope Fest had one. I don't really
Well,
know, but
even if it did, like, 'cause
Clearly,
I-
it didn't work that well if we didn't hear about it. Really,
That's true.
yeah,
if we have to second guess if it actually
yeah,
happened.
That's well, and also like if you think back to, I mean, Arc Battle, that was like a whole season.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. That's true.
We had a battle of bands for Hope Fest with
Battle of the Bands for Hope Fest. Okay.
all 53 likes on the page. So
53
Okay,
likes.
so there was a battle of bands for Hope Fest.
What
but,
year?
Well,
Well, Hope Fest has only had one.
Yeah,
I know. I'm just seeing.
so it must have been.
underneath it is something else.
Yeah, okay. Oh, okay, cool.
The other one.
But there
The
was
other one's
one.
for that church in
Yeah.
Yeah,
Alabama.
Oh, cool.
in Connecticut.
So yeah, I mean, I think like Kurt and Corey from Arc and Civilian at the time, now just Kurt's there. They did it like a whole thing.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah,
you played at the Schwaben Club, and then you played at the Schwaben Club again, and then you played again, and then you played at Elements.
Ooh.
Right? Like it was cool. It was
You
a
couldn't
really cool
not
experience.
hear about it either.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Like honestly, I think that most of Die Atlantic's success, or at least what made it quick, was because we won Arc Battle.
Sure.
yeah.
And we won Arc Battle because we wanted to win Arc Battle really badly, because we had gone to it, or I at least had gone to it for my whole life before that. Like I went to every single one.
Yeah, right. That's super cool.
Yeah, we promoted it so much. Like we sold so many tickets for Elements for the finals. Like I honestly think that's probably why we won, was just because the number of tickets.
The
we
number of
sold.
tickets. Yeah. Do you feel like although competing in the battle, like from watching it so many times in your, from years before, you kind of knew how to prepare going into it, where you're like, oh, okay, this worked, this didn't, we can tell the judges like this, we can tell they don't like that? Or was it just kind of, we just need to try, and then just as a result of just trying, it just worked out for you?
For us, it was like we just want to. I don't know. I didn't think we were gonna win. I thought the Cobra Hawks would have won.
Oh, yeah,
Right? Is that what they-
Cobra Hawks?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'd
Cobra
never
Hawks.
even heard of
Jeez.
They were formerly two-liner.
Oh, damn, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, so they were sick, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got that right, didn't I? Cobra Hawks.
Cobra Hawk, yeah.
Yeah.
Or Cobra Hawks.
Why did they change their...
It was years later.
Oh, interesting.
But yeah, so I thought that they were gonna win,
Yeah,
just because they
were
put on a
pretty
wicked
solid.
show.
Yeah.
And so I didn't actually really know what was going to win. All I wanted to do was go out there and present the most polished package. Just like, well, we're just going to play our best. We're going to bring as many people we can so that the crowd is hyped, and we're going to do the best we can. And yeah, I mean, and the cool thing. So here's the other thing with that. Think of how many bands that played Arc Battle were high school bands,
Yeah.
right? Name a high school band right now.
Is it because there's none, or
Is it
because
because
we
we're not
just,
in high school?
or because we're not in high school?
I mean, I don't know any, and I know high school teachers that have asked, and they don't have bands at their school.
I know there's
But
none
do they have any
playing. I know
musicians?
there's
Do they have
none
any people trying to
performing.
work?
They have
Are-
lots of musicians.
So what are they? What are
They're
those
all
musicians?
producing.
Are they producing? Are they?
Yeah,
what-
that's
what-
true. Maybe they're just in a total
Yeah, they're
different.
just
Yeah.
alone.
What's
Avenue.
Trying
that
to be those
aspect?
SoundCloud rappers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah, like there's not like there used to be a huge community. It was like, oh yeah, those guys they go to that school. Oh, those guys
Yeah,
they go to that school.
Definitely.
That's not really a thing anymore,
Yeah.
from what I can see.
I think that just people see SoundCloud rappers just succeeding on their own, and then they just kind of
Oh, I
think
can
that
do it
they
on my
don't
own.
need a team or need
Yeah.
friends. They
Yeah.
can just do it on their own.
But it's weird because a lot of these successful like artists that have come up recently in that kind of genre, in that kind of like corner of the music industry, their success is because they have a team, despite their kind of image being like a singular
Single person,
entity.
yeah.
It's like because of a team. Some people will market their team, like Brockhampton or someone like that will market their team as the whole unit, whereas someone like Tyler the Creator, he has a team and where it's come from, kind of digging into his roots, but
It's not on the
it
forefront.
is, there's a team. There's always a team that kind of helps that artists get to where they
But
need
you
to
never
be.
see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe that's something that the youth should take is a little lesson they should take is to form a team and not think they can do it on their own. Your independence is
Well, shout out if
No-
there's any
no
high
man is an
school
island.
bands in
Yeah.
the Tri Cities out there.
wow. That was way
Drop
more
us a
poetic than
line,
mine.
like,
Mine was a little bit
come
more
get at us.
blunt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, I've talked about this with the dudes in Sundiver. Like we're fully capable of doing a show, and we were like, yeah, if there's a high school band that wants a chance to play somewhere, like, give us a shout and we'll make it happen.
That's super kind of you guys.
Because
that's like
Yeah.
that's so. You guys can really be like the elder statesman if you want to be.
But it's
like,
strategic
yeah.
as fuck, like marketing
sure,
wise, kind
absolutely.
of for like you
Sure, but
guys.
you don't have to
'cause-
tell people that.
well, and honestly, like,
yeah, but it's a good idea, like you
Yeah,
know,
definitely.
yeah,
and yes, that would be great.
yeah,
But for me, and this is just going to be super cheesy, but like I looked up to the bands that were in high
Yeah.
school when
Yeah.
I was in middle
Hell
school.
yeah.
so you want to be that guy.
I want to be that guy.
Yeah,
like
it's cool.
Sure, I'm way older than that now, but I want to be that dude who's like, "Yo, you guys are sick. You're doing great. Come
Yeah.
play with us.
Good set, man.
Good set, man.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh
Classic.
gosh, good set, man.
yeah, classic.
Yeah, that'd be cool if you guys had an opportunity to do something,
Yeah,
or
I
any
would love
band
to.
around the city
Like,
had an opportunity to do stuff like that.
The last high school band that I knew, they're not in high school anymore, and they're a band that I've actually recorded a lot, called Safe as Houses. They're like a folk
Those guys are great.
rock band. Thank you.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not them.
Yeah,
but
he
I was just
gonna say, I'm like,
records.
what?
Yeah, yeah.
How
If
many
you've heard-
projects you got going on?
Yeah, no. Elliot, and Benson, and all those guys. They're really cool, and I've worked with them a bunch since they were in high school, and now they're all grown up.
Hey.
Cool. Cool.
But yeah, that's like the last band that I remembered being like, oh, a cool high school band, sick.
This city divided.
I recorded them.
Oh my
Really?
gosh.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Maybe the issue is jam halls are just way too expensive now, and people are just dying.
Yeah.
You just got to find the right
Candy.
place.
Yeah, I've never had a jam hall.
Yeah, that's fair. But you also had parents that
Basement.
were clearly a little bit tolerant. Of
Yeah,
you.
so that's a good. When I said my mom was tolerant of my music tastes, Die Atlantic practiced in my mom's basement
Oh
Holy
jeez.
shit.
And you guys lived in the burbs.
in the burbs. Yeah, we
Yeah.
practiced in my
How'd your
mom's
neighbors
basement.
like you?
Ooh, not super well. They didn't love us.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But we were always done early. Like we did
okay.
it. We were very respectful.
That's great.
But I
That's
mean, we
great.
played like both guitar players had an orange 412 with 120 watt amps.
Crank it.
Wow.
Like it was loud.
Very
fuck.
clean.
Yeah, that wouldn't fly at my parents'
Nope.
house. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Right? And so I was super, like, we were really lucky in that way because we didn't need to spend money on jam space. And now with Sundiver, like, I mean, I have my house and studio, and our bass player has his house, so we practice in our houses.
Yeah, I wanted to bring up your home studio. I know you had mentioned it a little bit last week. Like, is that the greatest thing ever? Or
You know what? Right now, it's fine.
yeah,
It's fun. It's fine. It's, but in the coming months, it's going to be even better.
Cool.
So right now, it's just in the basement of my house. But I'm moving
okay.
in February, and a whole section of the building that we're moving into is going to be dedicated to the studio, like a whole floor.
A building.
Wow,
Is that
that's
bigger than a
insane.
house?
Yeah, it's a triplex.
Ooh,
Wow.
oh.
It's gonna be a few apartments. Are you gonna dedicate like one thing to a control room? Are you gonna have many control rooms, or are
It's going to be like one of the floors, which is one apartment, a 2-bedroom apartment. The living room is going to be the control room,
Cool.
and also used as a live room if needed. And then it's like, okay, we have a kitchen we can record in.
that's cool?
There's a bathroom we record in. There's a bedroom we can record in. And
That's
then
awesome.
my wife is using the other bedroom as a teaching studio. So
Oh, cool. What does she teach? Music, I'm assuming.
yeah, she teaches piano and singing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
So how are you going to treat these rooms, I guess?
yeah. I mean the bedroom that will be a live room.
Mm.
It's going to also be my home theater.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be like blacked out windows and really dead and kind of like my studio right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then the control room, I'm going to try and make a bit more modern, like not so dead, a little bit more lively.
Nice.
Because I'm so used to mixing in a dead room. It'd be nice to mix in something that's a bit more reflection instead of absorption.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited to do that, and then it'll be a little bit more professional too. Then
When did you treat your parents' basement at all, or did
yeah,
you,
a little bit.
What did you do?
They were hoarders, remember?
They were
Oh,
orders.
yeah,
Yeah,
true.
there's just stuff.
There's stacks of treatment everywhere.
The only treatment I did there was obviously it had carpet on the floor, drywall walls, and then I just took plywood, like sheets of plywood, and glued Roxel Safe and Sound to them,
Damn.
and drilled some holes in the back of the plywood, and just nailed them to the wall.
They were okay with that, or
Yep.
did
They
they
had
just
no
kind of come
choice.
down and they were like, Oh, this is great.
Thanks, guy.
Honestly, the basement was full of stuff, and then my studio. So it was not like they were ever used to being down there anyway.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, they definitely just was like, oh, you nailed those to the wall, huh?
You're welcome.
But my mom helped me make them.
Oh, okay.
Wait till you see where these are going, Ma.
So I just want to interject quick. I've been informed that there actually is a group that is promoting multiple genre shows, the Friend Zone Collective.
Oh, cool.
Apparently, yeah.
The Friend Zone
Kitchener?
Collective.
Yeah, I don't know. Devin just informed me, so.
Yeah, we got that for a shout out to I'm Just Saying in the crowd.
I'm just
Nice.
saying. Nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
So bad.
Cool.
Friend Zone
Damn.
Collective.
Friend Zone Collective. I'll have
Keep
to
your
check
eyes
it
out, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll
Do
be in
they-
touch.
Are there any shows coming up?
I don't know. We can wait for them to
Yeah, yeah.
show
I'm
back.
just saying. Is there any shows coming up? I'm just saying. I'm just asking.
Yeah.
I'm just hashtag asking.
Oh boy. Yeah, so I mean that's definitely a thing. Like there's no high school bands, and I think diverse bills are a good thing. Now,
Yeah.
if people are doing it, that's great. Let's
Yeah.
expand that idea.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
Get all the
Um,
bands in.
And maybe
Devin Townsend.
maybe a battle of the bands is a thing that should happen. Maybe it isn't. I don't know if
Yeah, it's tough.
Like,
It's just
it sounds
like what
cheesy.
venue should it be at is a big one.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
at least when I think about it in my head, how it would be.
because you'd
laid
want
out.
it to be right. Like you'd want
Yeah,
it to be done
definitely,
properly.
definitely.
How would you feel about like a battle of the bands, but also like with artists included? Like, let's say these guys have out of high school. They're not in many bands. They're probably pursuing solo
Yeah.
careers.
I definitely think
So-
that's entirely appropriate.
Yeah, and
know?
but the thing is like you have to have judges that are like like they understand how
Right,
you know they have to be able to judge properly of like
Yeah.
how everything works, because if
I know what you
they're
mean,
kind of
that's-
dated, then they might be like, well, this is a band, they this person just played you a bunch of backing tracks, so how do you know what I mean? Like there might be
I
like
need
a
somebody with a real keen ear and
yeah,
an
they kind of
unbiased opinion.
understand like just
Yeah.
the whole thing between artists.
Yeah,
art
just get
and
somebody's
artist.
dad to do it. Just get somebody who hates all music.
Yeah,
and
which
just
one did you
pick the
hate the
best.
least?
Yeah.
I think
Thanks, Dad.
I think the answer to that is having lots of judges.
Yeah,
That's a
sure.
good idea.
Like
Yeah.
just having a ton of judges.
Yeah, a lot of room for debate.
A lot of room for debate and just scorecards. Like fill out your scorecard and we'll take the best.
Nice.
Because if you have like let's say you have like 10 judges,
Mhm.
that's not too much of an ask.
No,
Um,
not at all. I know plenty of people who would
Yeah.
definitely do it.
I know
And then
10
you,
people.
and then I bet you'd be
I
pretty
don't.
close to finding out who was actually the most enjoyable to watch over the course
Definitely,
of 10 people.
definitely. As opposed to having 2 or 3 judges.
Yeah, and then I mean, now here's the thing. Like, am I saying that I want to organize this? I don't know. I'm not amazing at that.
Yeah.
But you have
Booking is
But I
experience,
can
don't
do
you?
sound, and I know venues,
Yeah.
and I have gear. So
That's pretty essential.
Yeah.
I think all you need is just the chutzpah to book.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Pardon, can you define chutzpah for us?
Yeah, it's
With a visual descriptor
Yes,
for
please.
the audio audience as well.
Yeah, I'm not up on my Yiddish.
co ho nays.
Okay, I follow.
Okay, I see.
Big nets.
Yeah,
Nats?
Yeah.
not that you really need nads to book. I think it's just a matter of like.
Just says piss missile.
Hey.
Thank
Hey,
you.
right
Thank
on.
you.
Piss
We'll
missile
have to
can
do it
be
right
too.
from here because nobody's going to let us in their venue.
Yeah,
I'd
yeah.
say.
I'll have to pipe it in.
You can't be like that guy on Monday Night Football who's just driving back and forth. We have all 4 of you up on a
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
on a scissor lift going back
Scissors.
and forth.
That's a good idea.
I want the highest scissor lift.
yeah.
I can't even talk to a microphone correctly.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I'm not
I'm not
a
looking for like a
genius.
definitive like
Yeah.
You know,
let's
little
nail it
brainstorm.
down.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
just
just-
to get a conversation started on. I think it's going to
Yeah.
be something that I would like to ask
Yeah.
more of our guests as they come on because it is an issue that I see and I'm sure a lot of the bands see as well.
And the thing is, like, by no means should this conversation be discrediting the people that are putting the work in to make the scene cool.
Yeah,
Like-
no, by no means
Yeah,
am I pointing the finger
No
at
shade.
anyone.
No.
Just
Yeah.
Like, you've got awesome people, like obviously Kyle Wappler at Have
Hell
Hope,
yeah.
who puts in work and books a lot of
yeah.
shows.
Shout out to Kyle. That guy's
Yeah.
Scene
Scene
Daddy's
Daddy, yeah.
doing a huge help.
You've got people like Zach Schaefer who's trying to book like shows at Pinup Arcade, like he's trying to do some different
The
places.
cool venues. Yeah.
Yeah, you've got people like Chris who let people use his basement as a venue for a while.
That's wild.
You've got people like Dylan from Father Bodies and Ned Flanders who does 3-9's cassettes, who has his radio station, and like he's booked some shows for us too.
Cool.
So like there's tons of people that are doing good work to make the scene cool. It would just be fun to be able to tie them all together in some way, like get everyone on the same page.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, maybe that's not the answer. Who knows?
Sure. It might just be quit the band, get a real job.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Is there any bands around town, or maybe not in the Tri-Cities, but Ontario wide that you're like really digging that we should check out? The people should check out.
Danger Liker.
Danger Liker.
Shout out Danger Liker.
Shout out Danger Liker. Absolutely. No, actually though.
I don't know who that is.
Yeah,
Totally
hell
dig
yeah,
Danger
Bone
Liker.
Shaker.
Yeah,
New
check it on
new
YouTube.
single. It'll rattle them bones.
Check it.
Check it. Yeah, for sure. And then
Sorry, I didn't mean to hijack.
no, that was good. That
But
was
Danger Liker, check them out.
good. Who else? There's from London. There's Sweet Tooth.
Yeah,
Cool.
Sweet
Yeah, I've been
Tooth.
seeing their name around a bunch.
Yeah,
actually.
they're
Yeah.
really cool.
They're really pushing themselves nicely.
Sweet
Tooth, I think, with a silent E on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet Toothy.
Sweet
Um,
Toothy.
From Hamilton, King Park. They're like a solid band, like rock band. Played a show with them at Open Sesame. They were really cool. Who else from the area? I mean, if you know Dylan,
Mm-hmm.
from Three Nights Cassettes, he has a bunch of bands.
Cool.
Like Death Party Playground and
Sounds terrifying.
Sounds like my kind of playground.
I've heard of them.
Ned Flanders and Father Bodies.
Yeah.
So some cool stuff there for sure. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just excited about anyone that's
Sure.
the
Anybody's
time
making
in.
some noise out there?
to make some music.
Cool.
So yeah, and obviously like Safest Houses. I love those guys. They're playing a lot right now, which is great.
Yeah, those guys are awesome. They got a cool thing going on.
They have a really cool thing.
I saw them at the Grand Porch Party?
Yeah, they play the Porch Party every year.
Yeah, I saw them a few years back at the Grand Porch Party, and that was really cool.
What
Just
is
like
like? Is that the thing that goes on by me? Like, there's some porch party over like
There's
downtown.
a few porch parties.
the one that I was talking about was kind of around the William and like Westmount-ish, like between William and Herb, like that
Yeah.
kind of neighborhood.
Okay. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of, and like what are all the other? I'm trying to think of like Elise, maybe like just those streets, between William and Herb and yeah, they throw like a porch
Avondale
party.
and Alexandra.
Exactly, and
William and
Dietz.
yeah.
Shout
Menno.
out to Dietz.
Shout out Deets.
Hey, dude.
Yeah.
What's Deets?
But yeah, they throw this thing where it kind of lasts a day, and whichever houses beforehand decide that they would like to participate, they basically turn their porch into a venue. So bands have a time slot there. You have a little map that shows what bands are playing all the time. You just kind of like use the map to go like to
Yep.
this street, and you're like, cool, this band's playing.
That sounds
People just
awesome.
kind of
That's
crowd
fucking
around the
sweet.
houses and just watch
Who
them
needs
play.
Koi Fest, right?
Yeah.
Am I right?
No.
It was
We
yeah.
need that.
So I actually played. I played
I do.
the Grand Porch Party this year for my first time playing a porch party, and it was so much fun.
It
What did
sounds
you,
like a lot of
I've
fun.
never heard
Did
of
you
this.
put
Is there like
Sundiver,
food
or
and
did
stuff?
you-
Like,
No,
are
no.
people like cooking in the streets? Or?
There was like
party.
vegan ice cream.
Oh,
That was
oh.
really good.
Okay.
It was actually really good.
Yeah,
There was
the
a
local
couple things.
businesses.
Yeah, the definitely
Good vibes. Was good vibes there?
Really good vibes.
Like good vibes juice. Good vibes juice.
I had no idea what he was talking about either. I'm
God.
like, yeah, probably.
Probably.
Sweet vibes.
I
Yeah.
didn't see them. No, I wasn't playing with Sundiver. I was playing with 10th of May.
Okay, so what are they kind of like?
Well, it's my friend Angus. It's just
Great
him.
name.
Yeah.
And then I helped him record his most recent EP, and then we played it on a porch.
Nice.
So yeah, it was just two of us, but it's like kind of trippy, acoustic, folky. There's some recorder parts.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Whoa.
That's
yeah. 10th of May.
That's
Check it
wild.
out. It's on
That's wild.
it's on Bandcamp for sure.
sounds like great porch music.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Do a
I'll
lot
have
of
to
people
check
come
it
out
out.
to that?
Yeah.
Really?
The streets
Quite
are
a
full.
yeah. It's
Holy
quite a
shit.
because
Yeah.
it's like in the daytime. It's like something the family can take their kids out and they can just walk
Yeah.
around, grab some food. The kids can have fun. And
Never heard of this.
It's not super loud, right? Like
Yeah.
it's like you have to be on the person's lawn pretty much to.
They were only allowed
check
to
it
bring
out.
their
And it's-
recorder.
There's usually just like acoustic guitars and maybe like a minimal drum set. Everybody
Crazy.
plays kind of light. And
Yeah, it's
super
yeah, it's
cool.
great though. Because like even if you're standing beside somebody else's porch that's performing, you don't really hear much of a you don't really
Crazy.
hear much of like a sound difference. So that's pretty cool. Was that your first time playing the
First time playing
party?
the porch party, but there's more than one actually. So there's also the Honer
Okay.
porch party that's more like Frederick Street area,
And it was
like by
Okay.
Frederick Mall, I think. in those neighborhoods there, and Save His Houses plays that as well. But yeah, there's a few porch parties now that happen, and I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I've never.
Yeah, that's
heard.
super cool. I know there's one that runs by me. Like I'm in downtown Kitchener. I know there's one over. It's just like off of Benton, I believe, and I think they run a couple over the course of the summer. And I've always meant to check it out, but once again, I'm an old ass man, and I go to bed at like.
there.
I gotta bring out both my canes. No, I'll definitely have to check that stuff out.
But it's an interesting thing because it's another divide in the scene, right? It's not super connected to the scene that we were talking about.
Right.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
venue scene, the venue-based scene. Well, I mean, if they do have venues, it's pretty much one or two or whatever. Yeah.
But like you see tons of bands that as an active showgoer, you see tons of bands that you've never heard of that don't play those shows. So it's like, where's the divide there? And how do we bridge those communities?
Yeah.
Like how do we have like a punk band go play the porch party?
I think it's the appeal of trying to give the artists, you have to approach them with the idea of like a multi-genre set list.
Yeah.
You got to make it appealing to them, and I think that's where the secret kind of lies, is you make it appealing to them so they can be stoked on playing the show as much as they would
you
be
gotta
stoked
sell
on playing
them
any
on it,
show. Yeah, sell them on it so they're like into it, and you kind of sell them the idea that like, hey, a diverse set will do you more good than harm, despite what some bands may think.
Definitely.
And I think once that kind of idea gets across, then you kind of repetition and people kind of being attracted and approving of the repetition brings trendiness in a local way, kind of branches out to neighboring cities. I'm just kind of predicting like the natural flow of like growth, but
But I do think there's exciting stuff coming for the scene in the new year.
Sure.
There's, I don't know what I can talk about because
all
it's
of it.
friends of friends, but like expect some more festival type things,
Awesome.
cool.
I've been
That's really cool.
dying
like
for
small,
that.
like multi-venue things.
Cool.
something in the vein of Koi.
Kind of.
Yeah.
When Koi went away, I was heartbroken.
Yeah, that was
heartbroken.
it was
it was
great.
tough.
It was
Yeah. So expect some of that for sure. I've heard rumblings.
Awesome. Well, we'll have to
that
keep an ear out.
Yeah, absolutely. But it'll be exciting. Yeah.
Cool. So we're coming up on 2 hours here. You guys want to ask Sam any more questions?
Let's hear those tracks.
Yeah, you wanna play your three
Okay.
defining tracks?
All right. So are we starting with Cher?
Yep. Cher, do you believe in love?
Hell yeah.
Do you believe?
I'm gonna say maybe don't let the whole song ride.
Yeah.
Let's just get a little
Let's get
flavor.
a taste of that. Yeah.
Also for legal purposes.
Oh, that too. Yeah. Oh.
Oh, hey.
Hey, what's up, Mitch?
That's not the Cher I know.
The vent's
Thanks,
really
Cher.
kicking in now.
I know. I'm
Yeah.
starting to burn up over here.
Oh
Soda.
no. Gob. What's a really good
Give
one?
up the grudge.
No, not give up the grudge.
That's more.
I hear you calling.
Yeah, that's the one that I remember. Is
Yeah, that's a good one.
that the zombie soccer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The zombie
soccer.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about.
Oh
Gob.
yeah, that's all coming back to me now.
I remember watching this on like Much Music before school.
Absolutely.
Which offshoot of Much Music was it? Much Loud? Was it the Wedge?
I can't remember. I think my dad.
It's just mainstream.
My
rock.
da-
Mainstream Much? Damn, I forget what the festival is. But they got a pretty good like high slot.
And then, did you guys have any sleeper songs you want to show off before the?
Anything
The
from
grand
any
finale.
new, you know?
That's not up to me to say.
Hey,
I don't know, man.
I'd rather have it be against my will. I'd rather you like waterboard me with it than
What do you?
We can save it for an episode where it's just the three of us.
Yeah.
We can dig into him a bit more, or we can bring Em on too.
anything new you guys are digging. Like anything that's come out in the last like month or so that you guys have really liked. Like it can even be mainstream level, like
Hell
something that
yes.
everybody loves. Like for example, like we've got been hard for the new Earl lately.
Earl
Yeah.
Sweatpants.
Too
Yeah,
bad
boy.
it's too bad it's an extremely short album.
Yeah, it
It
leaves
is
me
despite the amount of
wanting for
tracks there
more
are.
though. It's
Yeah.
not that I'm like, oh, this sucks. It's just like, when am I getting more Earl? Oh, it's gonna be
Because
40.
there's a lot
Probably
of there's a
17
lot of
years
songs,
to-
but they're each like a lot of them are kind of even falling short of 2 minutes,
Yeah.
which is cool. Because they kind of go into like two-part songs, like the songs that he released before the album came out.
Yeah.
It was kind of weird to listen to because you were like,
You didn't understand the context.
but then you heard the song before it, in succession with the album track list, and you were like, okay, I get it. Like this is great. Fuck yeah.
yeah, that's definitely the fresh one for me. You got
Do
anything?
you,
Yeah, I'm listening to Emily King.
Interesting.
King.
I don't know who that is.
She's like a soul artist.
Oh.
I'm not a big background music fan.
Wow. Okay.
Like
So
I
you hated this podcast then?
No, this is, I listen to music. I don't just put it on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
you have
fair
to
enough.
actively listen to it.
But that's why I'm looking for things that are a little more like you don't have to be so attentive to
But
it.
if
Yeah.
you did, it's pretty
It's
good.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You can come and go with it. I
Yeah.
definitely do like to digest
Mhm.
the music that I listen to, but I also don't like to digest my family's conversations.
Yeah,
There you
so
go.
you drown it out with music.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, no, I'm like I have my home theater because I love movies, so
Mhm.
I have my projector and stuff and a record player, and I will put on a record and turn all the lights off and just listen to it.
That sounds
with
lovely.
no other sensory
Stimulation.
stimulation,
chamber.
just like only listening, and that's my happy place for sure.
That's awesome. That's super cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, you guys want to wrap it up?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything you want to
Yeah.
shout out? You want to plug?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, check out SUNDIVER.
Shout out
SUNDIVER 519.
Yeah.
Yeah, check out Save His Houses. Love those guys.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't know. Come to some shows.
Yeah. yeah. Hell yeah.
Come see
Let's get
shows.
that
Oh,
going.
and tell me if you want to play a show.
Yeah.
High school band
There
that
you
wants
go.
to play a show.
I'll
Let's
make
make it
sure
happen.
people have a way to get in contact with you in the show notes.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Thanks a
All
lot
that.
for coming out. and-
Shout out
Oh.
Frost Gang.
Shout out Frost Gang.
What's Frost Gang?
I'll link the video.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
So,
so-
I'd come out whenever you guys want.
Yeah. Thanks,
Cool.
man. It's been a
Awesome.
pleasure.
Yeah, we'd love to have you back. It's an awesome conversation. So our podcast is now available on iTunes, Apple Music. Oh, that's the same thing.
Yep.
I take that
iTunes / Apple Music.
In the podcast.
One's
app.
like a streaming, and one's like you just download it. I think.
Yeah.
Google Play, Spotify. We're on Stitcher and like a dozen other services.
All the classics.
yeah. Anywhere
what
you
you
want to,
want.
anywhere you want to grab it, you can pick it up. We'll be back live on Twitch next Tuesday, 5 p.m. Eastern. If you want to check us out, drop us a follow. All that hot garbage. Anything you guys want to say?
Like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah.
Smash that like button.
Fist that bell.
Hell
5-star reviews.
Later.
Give all the reviews.
Peace.